Some of you may know this, some of you maybe not, but the Elder Scrolls franchise was actually a big part of this channel early on, like 8 or 9 years ago. I was making tons of coverage about the Elder Scrolls 6 because I love the lore, I just love this franchise. And a lot of this love actually began with the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. That was my introduction to the franchise. It really made up a little bit of my childhood. It's been many years since I've dove into this game, and the reason why is because it just has not aged all that well. The gameplay, the graphics, the voice acting, I mean, you've seen the memes, we've all talked about it, we all joke about it, but definitely is a game that could have used a facelift a long time ago. And that's why after Skyrim Special Edition, the work that Bethesda did on that, I was honestly hopeful that they would dive more into their treasure trove of franchises and games like Fallout 1, Fallout 2, or even Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, or Morrowind, Oblivion. Maybe give those games a facelift, give that an upgrade, but Todd Howard over the years has just indicated he wasn't really interested in any of this. I mean, we have articles like this from 2018, Todd Howard isn't interested in a Morrowind remaster. And his reasoning a lot of the time with these games, the older games like Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 and Morrowind, is the fact that if you remaster, you remake them, you just remove the original feel and it's just different. And I guess Todd does not like that. And I guess that's why it was kind of shocking that in 2023, when the whole Activision Blizzard Xbox trial was ongoing, a bunch of documents leaked. And some of that indicated that a bunch of remasters from Bethesda was on the way. Specifically, we got the mention of an Oblivion remaster. This document has proven to be pretty darn real. Obviously, the release dates, none of that ended up happening. COVID and other circumstances, I'm sure, impacted a lot of this stuff. But yeah, an Oblivion remaster was mentioned, and also a lot later, a Fallout 3 remaster. Maybe something that is still planned in the future. I guess that remains to be seen for now, but it is worth mentioning that Todd Howard was asked about this last year on Mr. Matty Plays, another fellow Bethesda YouTuber, and he pretty much just said that, yeah, the Fallout Elder Scrolls remasters, they're not happening right now. Maybe he's talking specifically about them themselves, because they are obviously concentrating on the Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield, Fallout 76, stuff like that right now, because the Oblivion remaster that's been rumored for a while, it's said to be being developed by an outsourced company, Virtuous. I'm not familiar with a lot of their work, but they've done a lot of work on a lot of big games, just as a smaller developer, you know, not necessarily in the main credits, I guess that's the best way I'm trying to say it. But yeah, like I said, we've heard Bethesda, even this year, with their support teams, just like, we have no official information. We don't know anything about the Oblivion remaster and the FTC trial. And that's why a lot of people thought that this was just fiction, it's not going to happen. And that's until earlier on this year, in which in January we started to get more and more information about this remake or remaster. And this is when we first started getting news about the gameplay improvements that are going to be coming to this remaster. Again, this is in January. A mistake made by a former Virtuous employee has provided us with not just confirmation of its existence, but also insight into gameplay improvements set to be implemented in the original game, or to the original game. And it mentions the information comes from the website of a former employee whose name we won't disclose for privacy reasons. They worked at the company from 2023 to 2024. A description of the project provided on the site confirms that this title is being developed using Unreal Engine 5, and the screenshots and images and the new leaks that happened today, I think you can quite clearly see the Unreal Engine all over it, and it will be fully remade. So I will say that the feeling, you know, from going from a Gamebryo engine to Unreal feeling, it may be very different, so I'm really curious how it controls. We'll get to that as, you know, the actual screenshots in a second. It does hint at significant changes in the reimagining compared to the original game. Brief descriptions of 6 gameplay systems that will be reworked are also provided. So yes, this is being described right now by Bethesda as a remaster, but it does have gameplay enhancements. And it's said, back based on the January leak, stamina, sneak, blocking, archery, hit reaction, and the heads-up display has been altered and improved. For the blocking system, ideas to improve it were taken from Souls-likes and act games, or action games. And they did this because the original system was considered too boring and frustrating. And I mean, if you look at some of the gameplay, again, of Oblivion, it just has not aged all that well. But the improvements that they made, again, it remains to be seen if that is better. We'll have to wait to find out, or actually see some gameplay and see the game in action. The sneak icons are now highlighted in the improved sneak system, and the damage calculation methods were reworked. The stamina system was modified to be less frustrating for the player, making the knockdown that occurs when stamina is depleted more difficult to activate through changes in calculation methods. That sounds great to me. The heads-up display was changed to make it easier to understand and more aesthetically appealing to young players, and I do think that the existence of this is really to keep, people interested and start bringing in new gamers to the Elder Scrolls franchise, especially with Bethesda concentrating on the Elder Scrolls 6. You introduce people to some of the classic games, you get them into Oblivion, and then eventually they're probably going to want to play the successor, the award-winning Skyrim, and then soon they'll just wait for the Elder Scrolls 6. So I do think that this is a nice way to bring more people into this franchise, and it's been a long time. It's been a long time since a new game in this franchise, even a remaster, so it's nice to see. Other than mobile games, obviously. And it said hit reactions were also added to improve the response to damage inflicted on the player and NPCs, and finally, archery was improved to make it more playable and modern in both third and first person viewpoints. And ultimately, all this information just declared that this isn't going to be a lazy, like what we saw with Grove Street Games, and what they did with the definitive editions of the old Grand Theft Auto trilogy, which was just despicable. And it took years for Rockstar Games and another developer coming in to fix that, and it does appear that Bethesda and Virtuous, they're avoiding that, thankfully, and they're actually bringing some improvements here. But it is rather notable that they're calling this a remaster and not a remake. Maybe that's just because of the level of work. It's not too crazy, I guess. But that brings us to today, and yes, we've gotten further confirmation the Oblivion remaster is indeed real. Doubters in shambles as developer Virtuous accidentally leaves the door open to trailer screenshots and assets. So what exactly happened is that somebody went on their website, this is what they said: I checked the website, inspected a random image element and hope I could find something. Turns out they're using WordPress and the uploads folder contains the images. Didn't really expect to find this though, and there are many images that are now circulating online from this Oblivion remake or remaster that's going to be announced in the coming days officially by Bethesda and Microsoft. It's a colossal screw up by the developers at Virtuous or whoever runs their website, but yeah, we got a ton of images to go through, and it gives you good insight into what they're cooking, and it does look like a lot of effort has gone into this, fortunately. But yeah, this is actually what it looks like, what it did look like on Virtuous website. They took all this down a couple of minutes after this started going viral on Reddit and Twitter and stuff, but the damage has been done. It's out there, and a lot of people are calling for Bethesda, Microsoft just to officially announce it. I mean, they were going to shadow drop this anyway. Just announce it now. It's not going to be as surprising as I think it would have been, but it's the worst kept secret in gaming right now. Let's just be honest. But yes, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered screens and details have leaked, and I actually did post some of the images on my own Twitter account. This is the first one we have. It definitely looks like a modern gaming experience. I think the one thing a lot of people are criticizing, we're going to get to some of those comments later in the video, but it is the lack of color. A lot of people feel like the color gradient has been brought down, but hopefully modders can do some work with this, especially on PC. But we'll see what types of options there are in terms of changing colors and stuff with the game when it does actually release. But yeah, these are some of the screenshots. It definitely looks a lot cleaner, it definitely looks a lot modern, and yeah, again, this is going to be Xbox Game Pass, and this is the side-by-side, and again, the colors is something a lot of people are criticizing, but yeah, it looks notably better. It's just, I think what's going to matter the most is the gameplay and how fluid the combat is, and also, this is a different engine this is going to be played on, so I'm very curious to see, how different of a feel it is. A lot of people have criticized Bethesda for, the creation engine, keeping it going with Starfield and Fallout and such, and having a game now, an Elder Scrolls game played on Unreal Engine. I definitely do think, I do wonder if that's going to increase the amount of people calling for, Bethesda to abandon Gamebryo or Creation 2.0 in favor of Unreal. Although Unreal has its own constraints, as many have criticized over the last couple of years, especially with open world games. But yeah, these screenshots, this is the official artwork. It looks great in my opinion. It really does. And we did fortunately get I know you can't really see it that well, but these are the different versions. They have a deluxe edition. I'm sure it'll be like, you can pay $20 more if you have Game Pass or something for it. Hopefully there's a physical version with a physical disc. That's something I'm going to want, something to put on my collection, because I have all of it for Skyrim and all the games in this franchise. But You can't see it right here because it is blurry. If I zoom in, maybe I will through the editing process of this video, but there is indeed horse armor DLC. Yeah, horse armor DLC. You really can't make out what specific other stuff is here, but there definitely is some other maybe weapons, cosmetics that you get if obviously you pay a little extra for it. It'd be curious to see. Hopefully this isn't one of those, you know, you pay $20 more and you get to play it 5 days early. I really hope that isn't the case. I hope it is an actual shadow drop in which we're all allowed to play immediately. But we do have some other screenshots that have been shown. It does, again, we see some more. Looks great in my opinion. That's one. Here's another one. And we do have some comparison shots I'm going to show in a second. Again, this is just showing the deluxe edition, some more artwork from that. Here's another screenshot again of Cyrodiil. Looks great in my opinion. Obviously these images aren't in 4K, so they do look a little bit blurry, but you can see the clear difference if you were to load up Oblivion right now. And here's another screenshot. So definitely, you definitely do see the improvements. They are all here, but again, the color gradient not as green, not as vibrant as the original game, and that is the core criticism that I have seen online so far. And somebody actually did find some more screenshots. Again, not the best quality, but yeah, here you can see, and then you get an actual look at one of the towns, and all right, I think this is Cyrodiil as well, but yeah, it definitely looks great. Hopefully this is going to be populated with NPCs, something more modern. We'll see the extent of this remaster, hopefully with a trailer, maybe in the coming days, because all indication is that this is going to be announced and released before the end of this month, and the long wait for this, the long rumors will finally come to an end. But if it is worth mentioning, though, I do feel for the Skyblivion team. If you don't know, there was a modding team for years have been working on, you know, bringing Oblivion, making it a proper remaster from fans, pretty much. And some people thought that these leaks were from, you know, the Skyblivion team. Maybe it was a troll job, but no, you can quite clearly see the difference. This was Skyblivion, and I really do feel for this team, and I wish Bethesda or some of the representatives at Microsoft could have told them ahead of time, hey, we're going to be officially doing something. But obviously, I understand that's not how business and the business world works, and that was never probably a feasible outcome from this. But I just know that they've been working volunteer work for so many years, and it's going to be outshined from this remaster, assuming obviously there isn't some massive debacle or something like with what happened with the GTA trilogy years ago, but it doesn't appear to. I don't think it will be. But obviously, I think many fans will feel a little bit more, you know, especially if there isn't modding with this, because we don't know the modding potential with this Unreal Engine version of this game. So maybe the Skyblivion still has a way to live on. And we did see the lead developer of this project saying the real remake is the friends we made along the way. To be clear, this changes nothing for me. This always was a passion project, and it still is to the end. For the community, it's a win-win, as you get twice the amount of Oblivion this year. All love and no hate towards the people who made the official remaster. And for those, again, who are waiting, trying to figure out when this is going to be released, we had a number of insiders the last couple of months all indicating that this was going to be releasing in the first half of 2025. And just actually was today, Jeff Grubb simplified this even further, saying that it's going to be coming probably next week, and it'll be releasing by the end of April. Oblivion Remake will be released next week. It's claimed, updated, and Jeff Grubb, he's a little iffy with some of his insights, but most of the time he is on it. He has fully corroborated the claim that Oblivion will shadow drop next week after April 21st. Hopefully they do it sooner after all this stuff has leaked, but that remains to be seen. He said, let's update on Oblivion and the shadow drop the week of April 21st. So basically the last week of this month, next week, essentially. I've gotten separate confirmation that that's going to be the case. And this is something that's been rumored for a while now. A lot of people have been a little skeptical of stuff like this because it seems like the dates and everything has changed. A lot of people saying maybe this is just fake. It doesn't actually exist, but it does appear it is the real deal, and it feels like everything is finally coming together, and all we're waiting on is now an official confirmation from Microsoft, which thus far has not obviously happened. But this is what I mean, some of the reactions online, updated for 2025, talking about the color, the piss filter some people have referred to with the shot. And again, yeah, this is the official, again, I don't know if this is the day or time or whatever, but yeah, that's the this is the official remaster, and then you have obviously Skyblivion, if I can find it here. Yeah, this is this is the original, obviously, in 2006, and then Skyblivion. So there's many people that, especially in the PC world, will wait for this, and I think for good reason, for the amount of work and the passion that they have. And I do like I said, what the developer said here, the lead developer of that project, I think it's great that we're going to have multiple options for fans to take on. And those who play, obviously, on PlayStation and Xbox. And the console, for what it's worth, the platforms have been revealed as well. It is said that it's going to be releasing on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. So, yeah, again, this just goes further into Microsoft's new strategy of releasing on all platforms. And, yeah, that very much is, again, going to be the case here. But it is, like I said, these are some of the remarks going online, some of the comparison shots. Again, the color, this is just the main criticism we're seeing so far. Until we see it in action, again, opinions can't be solidified, including mine. Even though I think so far the images, it definitely looks modernized. I think it definitely looks good, up against Skyblivion, maybe a little less so. And then Kirk McKean, a journalist, saying, Oblivion remake is the worst kept secret in video games. Everyone knew about it, but we're all just waiting for the same two leaker guys to tweet. Bethesda could do the coolest thing a publisher has ever done and bring it forward Shadow Drop before the bank holiday weekend. And honestly, I agree, and I really do hope that happens. But as somebody who is a big fan of the Elder Scrolls franchise, I'm just glad to see us getting a new game to play, even if it is technically an old game, but seeing it with a massive facelift, it's awesome to see. And so far, the improvements, they do look good. Obviously, there is some skepticism with some of the color gradient stuff that they did with it, but maybe there's some options to change that. I hope there is. But yeah, what do you make of the Oblivion remaster? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video, or if you found any informative value. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.